Drop 10 bodies on the doorstep of New York City,
I know where you live.
and you're gonna make headlines.
Before this sick bastard is caught, they are gonna find more bodies.
The Long Island serial killer is still out there.
This is like Halloween to you. This is trick or treat.
Where is he hiding?
He could be your next door neighbor.
And have we finally found the devil in the details?
I know this guy. I know his voice.
I'm M. William Phelps, investigative journalist, and I have an obsession. Serial killer, cold cases.
Now, nearly 10 years later, investigators say they still need the public's help.
For me, it's personal. My sister-in-law was murdered, and her killer has never been caught. These killers are still out there. Their victims deserve justice. And just one new clue could make all the difference. I don't have a badge, but I do have something the cops don't have. Someone who understands the dark mind of a murderer.
As I started killing again and again, I saw it as a purpose.
Because he is one. I'm in the Pine Barrens, Manorville, New York. It was 2003. A woman is walking her dog right over there. And what does she come upon? The torso of Jessica Taylor. Her head, her arms are missing. The only identifiable marker on her, a tattoo that's been scraped off. When she's last seen in the summer of 2003, Jessica Taylor is 20 years old and working the streets of Manhattan.
How you doing?
Good.
Who killed her? Why was she mutilated? And where's the rest of her? The case goes cold. Then, 8 years later, all hell breaks loose.
The body count along Ocean Parkway continues to climb.
Jessica's head and hands are discovered 40 miles west at Gilgo Beach, Long Island. She's the fifth of 10 sets of human remains found along one stretch of road. She becomes part of the biggest murder investigation in Long Island history. The Long Island serial killer. Gilgo Beach. People come here to have fun in the sun, the surf. They come here to fish, spend time with their families. But lately, it's become the devil's playground.
As I said to the chief of detectives, what do we got? A graveyard here, a dumping ground? He said, it looks like it.
My go-to guy in this case is the former Suffolk County Police Commissioner, Richard Dormer. He led the investigation until 2012, when he retired, after almost 50 years in law enforcement. Are we looking at one killer here?
My theory is, and many experts theorize, that there's one killer here because there's too many common denominators. They're all sex workers. They're all dumped in the same place. Well, this guy is familiar with Long Island. He's comfortable in Long Island. This guy is, smart guy. He's sharp.
Dormer may be retired, but you can tell this case still has its hooks in him.
I wanted to catch this guy, bring him to justice while I was police commissioner. Time ran out on me. But the Suffolk County Police Department did not give up on this. It's still on the radar of the homicide squad.
Since the Gilgo Beach dumping ground was uncovered in 2010, it seems there have been no new victims. But criminal profiler John Kelly has bad news. This killer might just be biding his time.
I believe he's still out there. I believe that he's very much on top of the investigation. I believe he's just sitting back and he's just watching and waiting. He's very patient. He's very methodical. He's very structured. He's very bright. This guy's been doing this for a lot of years, and he's gotten away with it.
I know another killer who got away with it too, until his ego got the better of him. Now he's serving multiple life sentences, one for every life he took away. He's the voice in the darkness. Raven.
What?
Okay, Raven. Who do you think this guy is out on Long Island?
If you had to paint a picture for me of this guy, who is he?
I would say he is local. He understands what's going on in the area. He keeps track of what's going on. He's probably someone that sits down at a cafe locally and has morning breakfast and nobody has a damn clue who he is.
And he loves that, right?
And he cherishes that. We enjoy that you have no idea who we are. You may think that we are the guy next door. We fix your tires in the morning, we help you out, we do everything for you, but we turn into something that you really don't want to know.
And he's not really worried about being caught too much.
Well, he's not going to stop. He's going to keep going. He likes what he's doing.
Today, the police are still looking hard for the killer and still coming up empty-handed. It's a baffling investigation, and one of the big mysteries is the case that started it all. The disappearance of Shannan Gilbert.
Shannan was a good daughter. She was a good sister, and she was a wonderful aunt to her nephews. She had a lot of potential. She was very, very smart. She loved to sing and dance.
It's early 2010. Shannan is 23 years old, living alone in Jersey City. She dreams of acting one day, but for now she pays the bills escorting online. She regularly talks to her mom, Mary.
Hi, Mom. She said, "Oh, Mommy, I want to come up for Mother's Day, but I have a couple of jobs to do." And I told her, I don't care about any presents or any gifts. I said, "You're my present. Just come up. You don't have to go out tonight, stay home." And she says, "Don't worry, Mommy, I'll be okay." And it was the last thing she said to me.
It's after midnight, May 1st, 2010.
Her driver drives her out to Oak Beach in Long Island.
The ride from Jersey takes over an hour. Through the city lights of Queens and out into the smothering darkness along Ocean Parkway. Shannan's destination is a remote, gated community without even a general store, let alone a police station.
The client, or the John, allows her into the compound, which is Oak Beach, and she goes into his home, and the driver stays in his vehicle while she's in there. Something happened in there.
Shannan calls 911 on her cell phone.
Someone trying to kill me. I don't know where, I don't know.
But she can't tell the dispatcher her location.
I don't know. I don't know his name.
She doesn't know where she is. She's obviously in distress. She's scared out of her mind.
They're trying to kill me! Please, no, please!
The client, or DeJohn, calls in the driver and tells him to get her out of here. And he tries to get her out of there, take her back to Manhattan.
Please, no, please, no!
She ran out of the apartment, ran down that street, and kept going and ran into the swampy area.
And then she disappears, leaving only a trail of footprints, like question marks in the sand. What scared her in that house? Why did she leave her driver? And where the hell did she go? 6 months later, what at first seems like an answer will only deepen the mystery.
Then they told me that they found a body. They thought it was Shannan.
I'm in the hunting grounds of the Long Island serial killer, driving his streets, thinking about the lives of his victims.
Once you make that decision to become an escort, going online, putting up your information, that's easy. Pretty soon, clients are calling you. You're making more money in a night than most people make in a week. You don't know what's on the other end of that line. The unknown. Darkness. Who's out there?
It's late at night, June 5th, 2010, on Long Island, New York. Shannan Gilbert has been missing for a month. But in the anonymous world of online escorting, it's hard to say if anyone's even noticed. At a hotel in Hauppauge, Long Island, another call girl is plying her trade. 22-year-old Megan Waterman comes down from Maine a few times a month to see clients. Online, she goes by the alias Lexi. She has no idea that her client tonight could be her last.
He hunted and trawled through the internet.
Sure.
And once she fit his fantasy, then he picks up the cell phone, the burner, throwaway cell phone, and he starts to work her. And if she fits his qualifications, if she'll meet him alone at a designated place that he's going to turn into his control zone, and he'll pick her up.
Usually, Megan's driver takes her to her jobs and waits for her. But not tonight. At 1:30 a.m., she leaves the hotel alone, without her purse or her cell phone. It's the last time she's seen alive. And she is the fourth young woman to vanish like this in 3 years.
Megan disappeared within miles of my house, and I never heard about it. There wasn't much, information about it.
Local reporter Jacqueline Gallucci got involved in this mess way before it was a serial killer case.
Yeah, we purposely put it on the cover because...
She wanted to give a voice to girls like Shannan and Megan.
the Craigslist working life. What's that like for them?
It's very anonymous. It's not getting into a car in the street. They don't know who they're talking to. They don't get to sense, does this person look creepy? Does this person look dangerous? A lot of people kind of distance themselves, I think, from the victims. I think it's human nature, and to try to find a reason for it and a reason why this could never happen to me. But it can, and, there's someone getting away with murder out there. It might be comforting to think this happened to that person because they were in this business. This is what they did, and that's why it happened. But that doesn't help anybody, that train of thought.
If you met Megan, you would have fallen right in love with her. She was always happy. She did everything with her daughter. She'd read her books every day.
The curious little squirrel.
When she wasn't home, she'd call my mom to check in on Lily.
Before she disappears, Megan and her 3-year-old daughter, Lily, are living with Megan's grandmother in Scarborough, Maine. Her mother, Lorraine, knows how Megan earns her money.
I can understand why Megan did what she did. Because she wanted to better her daughter's life. She wanted her own place. She didn't want to live with my mom. She didn't want to live with anybody. She wanted it just her and Lily.
When she's working, Megan calls home 3 times a day, like clockwork, to check in on Lily.
Hi, how's mommy's little girl?
Then, one day, there's no call. Megan is missing.
Something told me, I don't know what it was, but in my gut, I knew that they weren't going to find her alive.
A mother's instinct also tells Lorraine something else. Megan must have talked with her killer before that night.
Megan was afraid of the dark. Megan would not go outside by herself if it was dark out. This person must have had contact with Megan quite a few times for Megan to actually let her guard down to go meet him.
It's the kind of lead you can only get from family. It would also explain why Megan left her cell phone and purse behind. She trusted him. When Megan vanishes, police are still searching for Shannan Gilbert, who disappeared a month before. Now, it's December 11th, 2010. 3 miles from where Shannan went missing, a cop is searching the brush along Ocean Parkway.
The chief of detectives called me and said they found a body.
The remains are highly decomposed. But forensics determine one thing fast.
We knew that Shannan Gilbert had a titanium plate in her jaw from a prior injury. So the medical examiner very quickly determined that there was no titanium plate. And so we knew it wasn't Shannan Gilbert.
And tests will later reveal it's not Megan Waterman either. But 2 days later, Megan will be found, lying 100 feet away along with 2 other victims. 4 sets of human remains found right off the parkway, all within a few hundred feet of each other. Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and Amber Lynn Costello. All escorts in their 20s who advertise their services online.
looking at these 4 girls here, beautiful girls. And I'm gonna speak for them right now. One of them was dumped right here. And you know, there's 2 monsters in this story. There's the serial killer we all are searching for and know about. But the other monster, the other predator, is the guys who lured these girls into the sex industry. And the guys who use these girls and exploit them sexually. Those are the other villains, the other monsters in this story that are responsible for these girls' deaths.
Four new bodies. No Shannan Gilbert. New York is on edge. What kind of horrible game is this killer playing?
This is like Halloween to him. This is trick or treat.
If you want to dump a body in Long Island, it doesn't get much better than Ocean Parkway at night.
No lights, a few other cars, and dense brush right by the roadside. It's here in December 2010, in the Gilgo Beach area, that 4 female victims are found. Cause of death for all 4 is believed to be asphyxiation. The newspapers say the bodies are wrapped in burlap, but the guy who led the investigation is cagey about that.
That's something that has been reported in the media, and it's something that I don't want to talk about because it's part of the investigation. The media reported that sources said that bodies were wrapped in burlap. That never came from the police department, not officially, and we never released that information.
There's not much other evidence to go on. Then, cops get a lead that could be a smoking gun. Turns out the younger sister of victim Melissa Bartholomew received a call from Melissa's cell phone just days after she went missing in July 2009.
Mel!
But it's not Melissa calling.
This is Melissa's little sister.
Yes?
It's her killer. Over the next month, he makes 7 calls describing in graphic detail how he sexually tortured and killed Melissa.
Hello?
Do you know what I did to your sister?
Why would he take the risk of being identified? Well, I've got a killer on the line too. Let's see what Raven thinks.
He called the little sister of one of his victims and said, "I killed your sister because she's a whore." Why would he do that? Get into his mind for me.
I think it falls under arrogance. I think it falls under a dare that I have this victim's phone. And I'm going to taunt my victim's family with the idea that they're dead. You haven't given me nothing but because I'm the killer. This is like Halloween to him. This is trick or treat.
I killed her.
This is like making his whole crime last that much more longer. And he'll sit back and dwell over that. He would laugh about it. He would think, chuckle to himself. Man, I really got her scared.
And I know where you live.
He's very controlling, and he likes the idea of tormenting people.
It seems like the perfect lead. These days, you can trace a cell phone call to the very spot where a person was standing. And surveillance cameras cover New York City. But this killer is too smart to be caught like that. The length of his calls is never more than 3 minutes, limiting the accuracy of the trace. Each call is made from a crowded location, like Penn Station or Times Square. So it's impossible to pinpoint the caller from surveillance footage. Now, a lot of people have said this guy might have a connection to law enforcement. You know, he kept the calls under 3 minutes. I don't buy any of it. I think it's bull crap. Anybody with a computer and Google can find out that information. I think law enforcement is working very hard on this case 24/7, and they want to catch this evil bastard as much as anybody else.
That came up early in the investigation because it appears that this guy is very familiar with cop procedures.
Former police commissioner Dormer doesn't buy the killer cop theory for a second.
Anybody watching television is very familiar with cop stuff. The cell phones, the computer. This guy used drop phones. He didn't use his regular cell phone.
No, this isn't Melissa.
Everybody knows this stuff.
Is this Melissa's little sister?
Based on the killer's voice, detectives estimate his age as between late 20s and late 30s and surmise that he's Caucasian. Raven and John Kelly have been building a profile of this guy. And former Commissioner Richard Dormer is right on the same page.
He blends in the community. He could be your next-door neighbor. Probably has a family. Has a job. I think he's got a problem with women. He's obviously got a problem with prostitutes. He's addicted to this thing. And when he comes under stress, he'll do it again. And this is the fear that we've had. That's why we wanted to catch this guy so badly, because I feel that this guy will do it again.
By December 2010, 4 victims have been found dumped at Gilgo Beach. But Shannan Gilbert is still missing, so the search for her goes on.
K-9 was out there. We had, 100 people out there going from the East End all the way west.
They're expecting to find Shannan. What they find instead is another graveyard. First, in March 2011, they uncover the head and hands of Jessica Taylor. Days later, they find another skull, hands, and a foot that match remains found in Manorville in 2000. The same place Jessica Taylor's torso was found. Then police find another skull. It matches legs washed up on Fire Island in 1996. Not far away, remains of an Asian male with signs of blunt force trauma to the head. And, most disturbing of all, they find the skeletons of a mother and her toddler.
Now we have a total of 10. This was a dumping ground. No doubt about it, it was a dumping ground.
In this new graveyard, only Jessica Taylor is identified. To this day, the other 5 victims are nameless. But police believe they were all linked to the sex trade. The Asian male was wearing women's clothing.
Well, it's not unusual to have males in the sex business and pass themselves off as females.
But what about the mother and toddler?
I had to bring her.
How the hell does a child fit into all this horror?
What we find out from people in the sex business is that at times, a prostitute will take their child with them because they can't get a babysitter and they need the money. You know, they're desperate for the money.
Not even a 2-year-old can get in the way of this monster. But 10 bodies? Can they all be placed at the feet of one man?
This girl is definitely way, way, way too risky for him.
By mid-2011, 10 sets of remains have been found off Ocean Parkway in Long Island, some dating back as far as 1996. But are they all the work of one killer who targets prostitutes? John Kelly thinks so.
Let's say, for instance, that all these cases are connected. Why dismember some of the victims and not the others?
I believe the victims that he dismembered were street girls, that he picked them up on the street, and by doing so, he made himself more vulnerable. People saw him. He does not want to be connected to these different women, so what he did is chop them up, mutilated them, and if law enforcement can't ID that body, then they're not going to be able to connect him in any way, shape, or form.
We know that Jessica Taylor, who went missing in 2003, was a streetwalker. Jessica was last seen getting into a customer's car. Now, if that John was her killer, it makes sense that he would have taken extra precautions. What Jessica endured, you can only pray to God that she wasn't conscious. Not only did the killer cut her arms off, he also took the time with a razor blade to mutilate one of her tattoos. Since Jessica was murdered, I think this killer has changed with the times. A car cruising down an alley has given way to laptops and cell phones. As prostitution has moved online, he's followed. Now you don't need to go curb crawling in known red light districts, so there's less chance of witnesses.
Right now.
And no need for all that effort to conceal his victim's identity. So was Shannan Gilbert a victim of this evolving serial killer? Does she hold some of his secrets? In December 2011, her body is found. It's in one piece, face down, naked, just 4 miles from the other dumping ground.
This is the area where Shannan Gilbert's body was found. Her clothes were found about a quarter mile that way, near that Oak Beach community where she was last seen.
Shannan called 911 that night in May 2010, screaming, "They're trying to kill me!"
They're trying to kill me! Stop them! Please! Please! Stop!
But who are they? Police investigated her driver and client and cleared them both. Their story goes like this.
They're trying to kill me! Please! Come quick!
No one was trying to kill Shannan. She just flipped out, ran into the darkness, and disappeared. We know that Shannan used drugs and had a history of mental illness. Still, even if she only imagined she was in danger, How on earth did she wind up naked and dead?
There could be a few different scenarios that have taken place here, but I do not believe she was killed by the serial killer. Our guy, the Long Island serial killer, is too organized, he's too structured. I mean, he is not gonna helter-skelter run through the bushes, the weeds, the marshes. This girl is definitely way, way, way too risky for him.
How do her clothes end up here and her body end up, what, a quarter mile away?
I believe she possibly could have suffered from drug-induced psychosis called formication. That's when you believe you've got coke bugs on your arms or you've got spiders crawling on you. And I can understand her dumping her clothes.
So what did kill her then? I mean, if our guy didn't, did the elements get her?
We have to look at the time of year. We have to look how cold it was. We have to look at, did she fall, hit her head, and she was knocked out in a pool of water that later drowned her?
According to the coroner, cause of death for Shannan Gilbert can't be determined. But Suffolk County Police have said publicly that they do not believe Shannan was murdered. However she died, Mary Gilbert lost a daughter that night.
The last time I saw her, I gave her a red teddy bear. It said, "I love you" on it. And after she passed, I went in the city with her sister, and sitting on the middle of her dresser was that red teddy bear. She knew I loved her. I hope she did.
The original search for Shannan led to the discovery of the other victims. She opened this case up, but someone else will have to close it. And I found a woman who might be able to do just that.
I know this guy. I know his voice.
There was always a beautiful place where everyone grew up, where everyone had fun. Now it's a graveyard. And, you know, I just would like to take that back. You know, give these women justice. Make it beautiful again, because it's had this cloud hanging over it.
Long Island is haunted by darkness. A serial killer, we believe, has taken 10 lives in 15 years. Who is this predator that lurks in the shadows?
I believe he's local. I believe he lives nearby. I believe he knows this area.
John Kelly thinks he's evolved in his hunting and body disposal.
He dismembered the ones he felt he could be connected to, and he did not dismember the ones that he felt he couldn't be connected to.
He's highly structured and organized. On the net and using drop phones, he carefully vets his victim and gains their trust.
You're very pretty.
He interviewed them on the phone, really, right? And he got the information he needed to get out of them, and then he says, bang, I'm choosing you.
I'd like to meet you in person.
Yeah, and not only does he get the information, he talks some of them out of even bringing their purses or their cell phones.
Worst of all, my contact in law enforcement thinks that this guy's addicted, that he'll kill again. And Kelly agrees.
When this guy's not killing, all he's doing is thinking and fantasizing about hunting, abducting, and killing.
In my time here out on Long Island, I've spoken to a lot of the locals. And many of them have a theory about this killer. But I spoke to one person who had a story that I found very interesting.
After some soul searching, she's decided to come forward and share her tale in public for the very first time.
He's very scary. I think there's good reason to be afraid of him.
I can't reveal her identity because she's about to put her life on the line and point the finger at a potential suspect.
So tell me about your relationship with this guy before you suspected him.
We had a business relationship. I was a customer of his.
And what kind of business are we talking about that he runs?
He runs a mechanic shop. If you go there at any time, even when you're a customer, if you show up at the shop, he's very secretive. He doesn't want anybody there. He could drive from his shop to Ocean Parkway late at night, maybe without even seeing another car.
So he has easy access in and out of Ocean.
He has an endless supply of vehicles to use. I don't think he would use his own vehicle. I think he would use a customer's car. There's not any evidence in his car. If anybody sees him pick somebody up, they're not going to recognize his car.
My source also tells me that this guy runs a well-organized shop. Extremely organized.
Every little nut, every little bolt is lined up and spaced exactly on a table for the vehicle that he's working on. Lined up perfectly parallel in perfect rows.
He likes order and control, and he considers himself an expert on computers.
When the bodies are found, what does he do?
He relocated his shop.
And he didn't have to do that, right?
It wouldn't seem he would have to do that. It seemed abrupt. The timing was odd. He seemed to change a lot. Shortly after the bodies were found, he became a different person. His work wasn't good anymore. He wasn't getting things done. He became aggressive.
No, are you deaf? The car's not gonna fix itself. You're an idiot.
And there's another thing which made my source suspicious. These dolls were seen at the memorials of 4 of the victims. This one is on Melissa Bartholomew's cross.
They weren't there the night before, and in the morning they were there, so they were placed overnight.
Tell me about these dolls. What are they?
Timeout dolls, they're made to look like naughty kids in the corner. They don't have faces, they're
like this.
Yeah, they're made to look like they're being punished.
And now, why are the dolls significant to you? When does it all start to make sense for you, these dolls?
It wasn't until the next day that it hit me that I had seen those dolls before.
Where?
In his house.
Okay, and what are you feeling then when that strikes you?
I felt like somebody kicked me in the gut. I felt like I was in a dream. Why would he have put those there?
Putting a doll like that on the dump site of a girl, what does it say?
I think he's saying they got what they deserve. They deserve what they got. That they were being punished.
And there's one more question I need to ask.
Is this Melissa's little sister?
So the question is, if you heard the recording of the killer's voice when he calls the little sister
I killed her.
would you be able to recognize it as this guy?
Absolutely. I would know if it was him. I know this guy. I know his voice. He enjoys taunting. He enjoys it. He likes cat and mouse games. He enjoys injecting fear. It's a game he likes to play.
When I hear a story like this, my heart starts to race. Is this the breakthrough? Still, I have to run it past John Kelly.
So does this guy fit the profile, Kelly?
Based on the information you got from your source, he fits the profile in some generalized ways.
Like what?
We're talking about structured, organized, lives local to the area.
But Kelly, you're describing 1,000 guys who live there who are the same.
Exactly, exactly. And because the guy puts dolls on the graves does not make him a person of interest in a serial killer case. What I'm saying is you and I have got to separate feelings from facts. And a feeling about someone being a serial killer is very different than having factual, circumstantial, or physical evidence saying they're a serial killer.
My source has recently been in touch with the police, and we're waiting to see where her information leads. And investigators also need your tips, no matter how small you think they are. Because there are victims out there who still don't have names, and families who need answers.
In the end, I'm back at Gilgo Beach. It's the epicenter of this investigation. Everything leads back here. That's what the evidence tells me. And this guy might be cunning, he might be smart, he might be fooling people now, but you know what? He will be caught.